Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Finding Balance During a Pandemic webinar. My name is Raina Bugling, and I'm one of the registered dietitians at Revive Wellness and My Viva Plan, and I'm very excited to present this webinar for you today. This is one of my favorite topics to present on, and it's something that we do often in our clinic with our clients, so it's a privilege to be able to bring this information to you today. This webinar is part of what we're calling Do Your Part series. We want to be contributing to the health and overall well-being of the frontline workers of this pandemic. So we hope that you find the information that we can share as healthcare professionals helpful. We do have other webinars that are up and coming, so stay tuned for more. You can check out our Facebook page if you search My Viva Inc. for scheduled details, and we'll have all that information up to you as soon as we have it. So this is very exciting for us to do. So what are we actually going to cover today in this webinar? What we have learned in our field as healthcare professionals is that regardless of the goals and aspirations that we have in life, we are much more likely to achieve them if we take care of our mental health. So today we're going to review the impact our stress level can have on symptoms of mental health and our physical health, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it. So we're going to be talking about our term that we call empowerment and some of these core components of our self-care. When you think about the word stress, what actually comes to mind? Is your stress related to your work? Is it related to finances, potentially relationships, potentially your health? There's so much that comes in part and alongside of stress. And essentially, stress is the root cause of all major diseases we are dealing with today, including our mental health. The bottom line is that everything contributes to stress, and stress contributes to everything. It is that simple and yet that complex. We can joke about stress, but the reality is that it's affecting us all. And it really is only recently that we are all opening up about actually talking about it and dealing with it. So that's why this is so exciting for us. I want you to take a couple of seconds and think about what feelings come to mind when you look at this picture. You might be feeling something like peace, tranquility, relaxation, exotic getaways, which none of us can do right now, calm, serenity, fishing, anything like that might be coming to your mind. Now, take a look at this picture. What thoughts, feelings, or words come to mind when you look at this? You might feel challenged, stuck, frustrated, going nowhere fast, hopelessness, in a rut. Many of us may be feeling these exact things right now as we all either stay at home or maybe we are going to work in the front lines of fighting this pandemic. Think about the last picture and then think about this one. Which picture do you want your life to resemble? Psychologist Dr. Sean Achor says 75% of our success in life is predicted by our optimism level, societal support, and our ability to see stress as a challenge, not a threat. With a little understanding of how the brain works under stress, we can actually alter how our life feels and how we operate. Shifting our thinking to see stress as a challenge creates more feelings of empowerment and that we can actually do something about it. However, if we see stress as a threat, that leaves us feeling a sense of fear of the unknown, which I think is probably a common thread that we can all associate with right now. So the key to combating stress is to actually understand how it impacts us. So let's start by taking a look at how stress actually affects our brain. As stress increases, our brain stops functioning at its best. So this is a concept called the Triune Brain, which was formulated by neuroscientist Dr. Paul MacLean. So there's three areas. You have your neocortex, you have your limbic, and then you have your reptilian. So the neocortex, that's that executive function of the brain where we acquire knowledge and learn new skills. The limbic brain, which is like thinking like a 4-year-old would, it's ruled by immediate gratification. I want it and I want it now. I have a toddler at home. This concept is becoming very clear to me about how the limbic brain actually works. And finally, the reptilian brain. This is in your brainstem, and it's all about survival and instinct. There is not a lot of higher level thinking that occurs in this state. So, when our stress is low, we are motivated by what we call eudaimonic rewards. This includes practicing gratitude, helping others, working toward long-term goals. Our decisions are very optimal. We are able to function at a very high level, put others ahead of ourselves, etc. Our rewards are more intrinsic, and they result in higher levels of meaning and purpose in our daily life. We feel like we belong. We feel like we can socially connect. We can have long-term relationships, and we just feel really well fulfilled overall. That's operating at optimal. Our stress is in balance. We feel joyful, etc. As our stress increases, our neocortex will start to check out. We are driven more by our limbic or our 4-year-old brain. Your decisions will start to become more impulsive with the focus being on immediate satisfaction. So this is where we're stressed. We turn to shopping, maybe drinking, maybe gambling, maybe drugs, excessive eating, etc. Things that will provide you short-term happiness, but overall lower levels of meaning and purpose. This is where we start to see some of those what we call hedonic rewards slipping in. They are very self-focused. And again, as your stress level gets even higher, so as we kind of creep down towards that level 5, totally stressed, kick in that survival brain. All of your decisions are completely based on immediate gratification and very impulsive. We're looking for anything that will give us short-term happiness and satisfaction. And actually be quite destructive. So this is very important to recognize how when our stress levels change, how your brain will actually shift in order to protect you and in order to actually get you through and give you some feelings of pleasure and satisfaction. So if we want our brain to actually function properly so that we can feel more energetic, more creative, more productive, resilient, etc., then we really need to manage our stress. So the better you manage your stress, the more you're going to feel those feelings that are on that left-hand side, where you feel satisfaction, gratitude, you feel productive, you've got creativity, and you feel energetic. The more that that stress creeps up and we don't do a great job of managing it, watch for those feelings to change. You're going to start to feel things like lower satisfaction. You're going to start to feel some resentment, some anger, and then our decision making shifts in order to help us make short-term immediate gratification decisions. Now, let me be clear. Not all stress is bad. In 1908, Yerkes Dodson determined that we do need to have a certain amount of stress to get us moving, feel engaged, and function at our peak performance. So that's going to be that middle section of this bell curve in the blue. That's the optimal level of stress that we do feel engaged, we do feel challenged, and we can function optimally. Under that, in the green section where we feel understimulated, there's not quite enough stress in our lives. The outcomes that we can be experiencing are things like anxiety, depression, poor health, sorrow, or pain. On the right-hand side, in the red, is way too much stress. And look at the things that we can also be experiencing: anxiety, depression, poor health, sorrow, or pain. So it doesn't matter if it's under stress or over stress, we're not actually functioning at our best. 52% of Canadians have called in sick due to stress at some point in their working career. 52%, that's a lot. And yet, only 16% of employees report feeling engaged at work, where they're functioning at that optimal performance level. That is just not enough. And so we want to make sure that we help people as much as they can to keep us functioning in that optimal performance zone. Because on either side, there's health consequences that could actually occur. So, how exactly can we manage our stress? I want to talk about 6 core components of stress management today that all play a powerful role in our brain and body function on a daily basis. The first core component, the power of sleep. Sleep will help you improve both your physical and mental health. So if your quality of sleep or the amount of sleep that you are getting in a night is not enough, this will significantly affect your overall health. Sleep helps with improved productivity, focus, and concentration. When you are having difficulty sleeping, your decision making, your problem solving, and your emotional regulation are going to be significantly impacted. It also will affect your hormone levels. And this is very interesting. Something that I find working with my clients as well is that when we actually adjust people's sleep, their appetite can come back into balance. And so if your sleep is off, it is going to affect your two hunger and fullness hormones, which are called leptin and ghrelin. So pay attention. If your appetite feels off, come back and consider, what is your sleep actually like? Stats Canada states that about a third of the Canadian population is getting less than the optimal amount of sleep a night. That's about 7 to 8 hours a night. Other research shows that if you're getting under 6 hours of sleep a night, you could actually be in a state called sleep restriction, where we see a lot of significant health impacts come in. So reflect on this. How's your sleep? How's the quality of sleep? What is your bedtime routine actually like? Right? A lot of things are going to impact your sleep. So keep a journal, do some reflections. If you notice any patterns, we can adjust and we can actually set some goals surrounding this. And this has a huge impact on your overall health. Number 2, the power of reflection. If we don't actually stop and reflect on what's going well in our life or what's not going well, how in the world are we supposed to make changes? So the first component to self-care that we often talk about with our clients is this reflection piece. How is stress showing up in your life? Stress will affect us all differently. It can affect you physically, emotionally, behaviorally, sleep, or your own personal time. If you take a couple minutes every day just to reflect on how that day went, and then you will get the information you need to understand and make a decision about what direction you actually need to go. You can also reflect on the type of rewards that you're seeking. Are they eudaimonic, like we talked about? So they're a higher level, helping others, practicing gratitude, working on your long-term goals, etc. Or are they hedonic, immediate food consumption, video games, shopping, music, drinking, etc. So this is the really important part. It's hard to make change if you don't actually have any data to assess. Number 3, the power of gratitude. What is gratitude? The definition that we are referring to here is a sense of appreciation for someone or something. It truly is more impactful if you act on it, which means if you're grateful for that conversation you had with your loved one, probably over FaceTime right now or over a phone call, tell them, hey, that really made a big impact on my day. Thank you so much for that. I'm really grateful that we were able to talk. That will have a bigger impact on your brain than if you just wrote it down in a little journal somewhere. So the brain can't actually stay in a state of peace and joy and stress and anxiety at the same time. So if you choose gratitude, if you choose gratefulness, it will actually shut down the stress response in your body. I can't tell you how many times I've practiced this sitting in rush hour traffic at a dead standstill when I'm trying to get somewhere. The more I practice gratitude, the more I can feel the stress being released from my body. The opposite of gratitude is resentment, entitlement, and taking things for granted. So keep that in mind. If you're noticing those emotions come up, we're actually doing the opposite of what we want to do. Can we be grateful all the time? No, of course not. But when we are faced with a difficult situation and we think about being grateful before we respond, it is going to change the way that we react. This is a practice. We tell people to practice gratitude, which means the more you do it, the better you get. This is probably one of the most significant things that you can do right now in the middle of this pandemic that we're in. Practice gratitude and choose something new every day if you can. It will make a significant difference. Next is the power of meditation. We have more information hitting our brain at a faster speeds than ever before. The pandemic is a perfect example. There are so many papers, articles, media stories, Facebook stories, Instagram there's so much coming at us that you could actually take in and absorb. And eventually our brain goes, I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know how to actually get through this. Meditation will actually teach us how to calm our mind. This will give you clarity, it'll give you perspective, and it will build resilience within your mind. So do this, you could do it early in the morning on a walk, because that's all that we can do right now is go for a walk. Or you could go for a drive. I guess that would work too. You can do it with the help of a program, or you can just do it in quiet contemplation on your own. So don't forget the power of meditation. The power of nutrition is the next one that we talk about. If your brain does not work properly, it doesn't have the right fuel. I'm going to say that again. Your brain will not work properly if it doesn't have the right fuel. We're going to be doing a presentation on building and supporting your immune system during this pandemic. So we're going to get into a lot more details there about what this nutrition piece can actually look like. But this is a really important thing that we deal with a lot of our clients, especially as it relates to stress, because stress will affect your brain and it will affect the messaging that your brain receives about the types of foods that it should be eating. So when you're stressed, we automatically crave more sugar, salt, and fat. Those are the foods that will bring us the most immediate satisfaction and send off those neurotransmitters in our brain to release those feel-good hormones like serotonin and dopamine. However, if we skip meals and we don't eat balance, it can actually cause the same type of cravings as stress does, meaning that our brain is not functioning at its optimal level, and then we see an increased level in some of our mental health symptoms like depression and anxiety. So a big thing that we talk about with a lot of our clients, consistent fueling of the body, so regular eating and the balance of those meals. That will keep your brain and your body in alignment and help keep you focused. Finally, the last one, power of exercise. I don't think this one is any surprise to anyone. The power of exercise on your brain and its ability to fight off some of those mental health symptoms that we feel like depression and anxiety is really, really well researched. Exercise will actually release those endorphins in your brain, which help you to feel satisfied and increase your level of joy. It'll bring down those levels of tension and it'll bring down that blood pressure as well. Obviously, it helps us manage our overall health in the big picture of preventing chronic disease. And the best part is that it really doesn't have to be much. Studies have been done comparing exercise with antidepressant medications for people struggling with mild depression, and they've actually found that exercise was more effective. And all it took was 30 minutes, 5 times a week, to reduce symptoms of depression by 50% after 12 weeks. That's really significant results. So that's something very exciting and something that we can actually do ourselves. Ultimately, wellness can be frustrating. I see this often with my clients, and we have these conversations over and over and over again. This little picture depicts often what we call the ladder to success. Each rung will likely represent a failure of some kind. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to the changes you were asking yourself to make. Behavior change takes time. It absolutely feels uncomfortable. Failure is essential to get to success. That's why something like this quote is so powerful. Life isn't waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. This is very prevalent in my life right now in this pandemic. So much is out of our control. This is a big storm that is blowing through our country and essentially all over the world. Learning to dance in the rain is not something that's going to be easy. It's definitely easier said than done. But figuring out what this looks like for all of us will help us find that balance in our life that we need. I want to recap everything that we just talked about, these 6 core components of your self-care. The power of sleep, the power of reflection, the power of gratitude, the power of meditation, the power of nutrition, and the power of exercise. These are the top 6 things we see impacting our clients' health journey, and they are typically all things that can be within our control to some extent, which is really encouraging in this season of life when there is not a lot in our control. These are 6 big areas that you could set a really specific goal on immediately. However, where to start? If you don't know where to start, the first thing I would suggest is start to reflect. Collect data about yourself. Like I talked about, this will allow you to actually assess what is going on. And then you'll be able to see, is my nutrition affecting me more? Is my sleep affecting me the most? Do I exercise? What is that actual impact on your body and your overall health? Pick one area, just start, and then set some goals. Remember, we are a team of registered dietitians. We've got psychologists. We have a chef on our team. We're here to help if you feel that you would like help with this. This is the journey that we take our clients through on a daily basis. This is what we love. This is our passion. If we can help set you up in this time with some great goals, just help find that balance for yourself, it's our privilege to do that. We really, really love the clients that we work with. We are going to be putting up more information. I know I said this at the beginning. I just want to recap to where we're coming up to. Keep in touch with us. We did part 1 of coping during a pandemic, getting some perspective on a pandemic. That webinar information is up already. Part 2 is coming about actual strategies of how to cope with the pandemic. And like I mentioned before, we're going to be doing a nutrition presentation about building your immunity during a pandemic. All that information is on our MyViva Inc. Facebook page. So check us out there. If you want a resource summarizing today's information, you can text the word Finding Balance to 555-888, and we will summarize all the stuff from today's webinar. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you found something that was useful and information or new to you, and I sure enjoyed presenting this. You guys have been such a privilege. So reach out if there's anything that we can do to help.